a usurper. The masses in their fervor. Guess they ain't heard. Can't have a revolution with no murder. Faster than I'm birder. Hope I grow the empire. Sovereign of the said kind. And bitches call me senpai.
Previously on D&D. We nearly died by dragons! It's alright though. We got out of it okay. So, let's continue the story. The group continues to explore this kind of underground city. The mountain begins to rumble. Butters grows a bit concerned and starts heading outside to see what's up. Meanwhile, Leroy, Groban, the drunk dwarf's donkey, is outside by himself. He finds himself attacked by wolves. Leroy flees for his life. He can't. Cornered, he attempts to charm his way out. He succeeds. The wolves enjoy his joke, which is great, and then beat the ever-loving hell out of him. Leroy, getting the absolute crap kicked out of him, continues to have puns and jokes. Eventually, the wolves decide, you know what, let's just let him live. And they go away. Butters makes it outside and sees poor Leroy the ass bleeding and dying, yet still giving jokes. Butters uses a lay on hands and heals Leroy. Leroy, so thrilled by this, accepts his heal and his allegiance now to Butters. Then a miracle happened. The donkey began to levitate, and at that moment, Leroy became a celestial mount. Proud of Leroy, Butters smiles upon him, waves his hand, and Leroy goes off to the celestial realm, where he can be summoned back at will. Meanwhile, back in the underground city, Arya, Judas, Belle, Groban, Quinn, the whole group, they find some swords, and a few knickknacks here and there, some jewelry, money, and about 40 gold each, too. They meet up with Butters and head back into town. Quinn and Butters search for a magic underground area because Quinn was bound and determined to find someone who could bind all these dragon pieces or wings to his body so he could become a tiefling and fly just like Butters could. He finds a guard, and the guard says, I don't know, maybe something underground? So Butters and Quinn go off to search for maybe something underground. Belle, in the meantime, looks for bounties. Nothing worthwhile. Quinn and Butters, they don't find anything either. So they go to a brothel. Quinn, he sits in line for his turn in his brothel. Groban, he actually convinces Quinn while waiting in line to, maybe if you were to buy a shovel and dig a hole, he might find a necromancer. He succeeds. So, Quinn and Groban go off to go dig. Meanwhile, Butters decides he wants to go preach throughout the town. He is immediately shot down. He goes off to his temple to go preach and meet up with the other, followers of Kelemvar. He does so. Little did Butters know that Groban and Quinn were digging that hole in the graveyard of the Church of Kelemvar. Butters continues preaching, the crowd excited to hear his words. The fellow church leaders there with him, rallying the cry of equality and balance of life and death in the great words of Kelemvar. Until a strange digging noise can be heard. It catches Butters' attention. He excuses himself, walks outside, and that's when he saw it. Butters was witness to his little war buddy digging a massive hole in the graveyard of his church. And there was no curse in elvish, intish, or the tongues of man to match the zealous hate that came out of Butters at that moment. He was completely ready to smite Poor Quinn, who had been very foolishly tricked into digging a hole in the graveyard of Kelemvar. Just when his flaming axe was ready, Judas leaps out and convinces Butters not to kill him. Butters calms down just enough to put his axe away. He looks right at Judas and orders him to go into the church and gather the people. Judas does. He returns with 250 followers and the leaders of that specific church. Quinn stops digging for just a moment, looks around, notices the hole, notices the crowd, the angry Butters, and the hidden laughing Groban. His decision? To sass Butters. Butters was then yet again ready to smite Quinn. With his axe ready, a battle is to be had, with a crowd to notice. And at that moment, Groban realizes he may have made a mistake, and this may go a bit too far. So, with a little bit of bard magic, he uses his voice and perfectly imitates the voice of Kelemvar. Butters is confused, seeking the word of his god. Arya and Belle can hear the screaming of Butters from a block away. They come by and see him looking through the air looking for his god. Groban lets him know what's going on. Belle, seeing that Butters is intent to kill one of their companions, attempts to summon up a skeleton to intervene and launch at Butters just so this day could have a little less death. And at that moment, well, she summons a chicken. The bones of a chicken. The chicken flies right at Butters' face. At the time, though, all Butters could hear was the voice of God. And that's when he saw God in the form of a chicken flying at his face. Ladies and gentlemen, at that moment, Butters saw God, his god Kelemvar, in the form of a chicken in all its glory, as well as 250 followers. And by the rules of Dungeons and Dragons, with that many believers right there, the great religion of Cluckenvar was born. Realizing that his god had come to stop him from murdering, that balance was the best thing to do. Starting the religion of Cluckenvar, Butters jumps down to the hole, takes Quinn out of it, and swears a new, stronger bond. Cluckenvar would be the new religion, and it must have a rule of 2, and only 2, no more, no less, a master and an apprentice. But more must reach out to preach the word. Belle and Ventus happen to be nearby, and they, seeing the new rise of a power, joined and worshipped the great chicken Cluckenvar, and became the inquisitors of the religion. And that's where we'll end today's story. Sorry, it's been a little while, guys. The good news is we've had quite a few good collaborations, including that with the Incognito Cinema Warriors. So check out the link below in the comments. You can find a spot right there where we had a good collaboration for their Resident Evil 7 video. And I've got another collaboration coming up next. Look forward to that as we work with the one and only Fujioka Shihiro, or better yet, the man behind Mario RPG. In the meantime, you guys know what to do. Make sure you hit that bell, subscribe, share this around, and hit that like button. Be more coming up for you soon.